Welcome, my name is Colleen Tauke and I'm the sewing specialist at Fons Porter. In this Quilting Quickly tutorial, I'm going to show you how to put together the blocks for the quilt called Twice as Nice. If you'd like to purchase this pattern or any other patterns from our magazine, you can visit our website. Okay, we're going to be working with 2.5-inch pre-cut strips in some wonderful batiks. And then we're pairing it up with a background that's a light batik also. The fun part is pairing it up with a batik fabric that's a light, which are kind of hard to find sometimes. But this one is a subtle dot print. It varies in its background, so it lets the colors just kind of play across the quilt. Now, from each of those 2.5-inch strips, you're going to be doing some very simple cutting. And this is kind of where the name comes from. You're going to be making 2 blocks from each of the strips. And so this is how you're going to be cutting each of the strips. Twice as nice. 2 that are 2.5-inch squares and 2 that are 2 times you're going to cut 6.5-inch segments. Now this is folded in half so that you get pairs. So actually you're cutting 4, but you're making 2 cuts here and 2 cuts here. This is your leftover, not much waste. So once you've gone down through your entire set of strips that the pattern calls for, you are ready to start arranging pieces into blocks. And we've got a block isolated here for you to see. You'll notice that then you're going to also be cutting, I guess not just the brights, but you're going to be cutting your background fabrics also. And from those you're going to be cutting 2.5s and 4.5s. And this is the simple arrangement. It looks more complicated when you actually look at the quilt itself, but it breaks down into very simple pattern. This would be a great pattern to work on if you're a beginner, because all straight line cutting, straight piecing. It's just in the arrangement of the blocks that you get this fabulous pattern. Okay, so squares and rectangles, the only thing you have to cut for this. So you're going to be joining rows, and if I stack these, you're going to notice that these are the same row and this is the same row. So really you're making 2 matching strips that look like this, 2 matching strips that look like this, and I have some prepared. So as you're preparing or putting your strips together, you're going to want to keep matching strips together. Otherwise you're going to have to go through and resort everything so that you can create the blocks. Oops, that one goes. The one with the small square, see how easy it is to get twisted around. The small square, one with the small color, goes top and bottom. The large bars go toward the center. The nice part about this also is that you don't have any seams that are going to intersect. So you get some nice crisp lines without having to worry about matching up any intersections. Fun piecing that way. So just join your rows together and create blocks that look like this. Now, the blocks in this quilt are set with the same angle throughout each of the rows. So it's a very simple setting. You will want to probably lay out your quilt. I think a tip that Tony, the designer of this pattern, came up with, and he used to tell me, is to divide up the blocks. Put one of every pattern in one pile and its mate in another pile. Go through one pile and lay out the blocks. That way you know you don't have any matching blocks next door to each other. Then lay out the rest of the blocks. Another tip would be, because you're just making simple rows, is that there's quite a few rows in this quilt top. You could just keep joining one row to the next, but it gets quite heavy to pull it through the sewing machine that way. So if you were to work on, say, 1/3 of the quilt at a time, joining the first 3 rows or so together, then stop, then construct the next 3 rows, and then the bottom rows, then join them together. There's only one time where you have to drag the entire quilt through, and it's not so much weight, because a lot of times when working on a quilt top, the worst part is putting all the rows together because it's such a big lug to pull through or bring through the machine. So work on it in thirds and see if that helps you out. If you'd like to see more of our Quilting Quickly tutorials, visit our website. Thanks for joining me today.